Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. So with that in mind, let's jump right in to this week's episode of Becoming Something.
What's up, podcast world? It's your boy JP in the podcast studio with KD and NATE.
What's up?
Yeah, I got guns. You think I sold them all?
What you think I ain't got guns? You think I sold them all? Why are you looking at me like I ain't got guns? What you think I sold them all?
Did you write those lyrics? You said those the other day, and I was like, what?
Gosh,
where are these coming from?
Where is this coming from?
It's Lecrae.
Oh.
No, it's not. No.
I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking.
Gosh.
What's up, guys?
What's up? How are we doing?
Man, just living the dream.
Yeah?
Living the dream. Dreaming the life.
I don't know. I'm fine.
You're fine?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I mean, so I had Reese's Puffs for breakfast this morning.
Okay, Nate, we need to talk about your breakfast habits.
You
He
were
eats either
dogging-
Eggo waffles or Reese's
and
Puffs.
it's like noon
That's
right now, and I'm like,
sugary.
it's not. I'm hungry.
Well, duh, you didn't have
Last
protein.
time we were in here, you were dogging on Coley for eating crab or
What?
something.
Crab imitation. If he was eating crab, I'd be like,
At least
that's
he's
legit.
not hungry right now.
But yeah, Reese's Puffs are not imitation.
So why do
Reese's.
you eat what you eat?
Oh yeah,
It's
everything in there
faster.
is not imitation.
It's faster.
You
legit
really
cocoa
eat
from
sugary cereal for breakfast?
Yeah, every morning.
And you
That or
expect to
cinnamon
feel
toast
good.
crunch.
You expect to just feel
But
awesome
at least you do hot
until
works.
12.
What?
Come on, yes, exactly.
Just doing that.
Cereal should be like a 9 o'clock snack at night, you know?
Oh, whatever.
Like a fun treat, not a breakfast.
Hey, I did not come on this podcast to be food shamed by you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
Kathy.
Unbelievable.
What's wrong
I'm
with
sorry,
you,
I'm
man?
so mean. What's up with me?
It's hard.
So
It's
many
harsh.
things.
You guys, besides Becoming Something, what do you guys listen to? Like, you're in your car. Like what do you listen to?
The Holy Spirit's voice.
Oh my gosh.
Why would I listen to anything other than Becoming Something?
It is weird that you just
Do
listen
you
to reruns
listen to
all
other
the time.
podcasts? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Wait, don't talk about what the podcast we don't listen to?
No, the other ones we listen. Oh yeah, we don't listen to
Oh
any others.
wow.
There's some good ones out
Okay,
there.
Okay.
But what about like music? Do you guys listen to any music?
Christian music.
Only worship music.
Really?
Truly, but I'm not because I'm holy. I just need it, you know?
So, but I feel like you don't, because you say some things
You love
sometimes
rap
where I'm like,
music.
whoa, where did that come from?
Oh my god.
It's like, wow, he's got a past.
BC days, yeah.
Yeah.
Before I was a Christian, I'd listen to non-Christian music.
Like, what were some of your favorite artists back then?
I don't know that I.
NSYNC?
Yeah, I like
Backstreet
NSYNC,
Boys?
Yeah.
Yes,
sure.
100%.
Are you serious?
Yeah, baby, bye bye. I was hanging with the fellas, saw you with your new boyfriend and made me jealous. I was hoping that I'd never see you with him, but it's all good because I'm
You
glad
knew
that
this
I
was
met
gonna
him.
happen.
Because now I know the competition's very slim to none, and I can tell by looking that he's not the one. He's not the type you said you'd like. His style is whack. Close up back. Come on, girl, let him go. I want you back.
You know what I've noticed?
Yeah.
People don't all know
Hey.
the same songs anymore.
First of all, when I finish
You need to say
some
good job.
some act of greatness, like what just happened, you don't just flow into the next sentence without
You
giving that
say,
some space.
wow.
While you're doing that, I'm just waiting
A
for you to
little
be
bit of
done, 'cause I have
air.
other things to
Wow.
say.
You
But
really
isn't
should have
this-
been in a boy band.
But this
though.
is an interesting thing. Like, even 10 years ago or less than that, it was like everyone knew the songs. It was like Katy
It's just 'cause
Perry.
we're
and-
getting older, Nate.
No.
It's not. It's a new
It-
phenomenon.
Even like
people just
T
music-
Swift or whatever. Now it's
Like
like,
now
Because
you
no one
listen
listens
to-
to the radio.
Lauren Spencer, or you list like somebody that a lot of people haven't heard of because like you're the
totally.
tribe.
And here's the deal. No one. I'm like not the most relevant person
Who do you listen
ever.
to?
I actually do listen to Christian music or country.
I do like Taylor Swift.
But it's like now if I looked at the top 100, I would
Who's
have
your
no
favorite
idea.
country artist?
I really like Chris Stapleton.
He's a good voice.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Wasn't he on American Idol?
I have no idea.
I don't think so.
I don't
He
really know
was?
much about him.
He's not country.
You're as smooth. How was that? Was that smooth?
It was honestly amazing.
Keep
I'd like to
going.
give that some space just to to appropriately celebrate.
But then he starts talking about Tennessee whiskey. And here's the deal. I'm wondering,
Whiskey.
is that bad? Like, is that bad that I'm listening to that? Is it bad that I'm listening to Drake? Do you know who Drake is?
Mm-mm.
I think he lives in Toronto or something.
Started from the bottom, now we here. See, I know music.
Was that Drake? I
That
don't
is Drake. Don't look at me like that. Yes,
That
it
wasn't
is.
Drake.
Yes, it is.
That was DC talk.
No, that's kind of us. It's like we start from the bottom. Now look at
I think
us
we're
now.
still kind of in the bottom.
But is that bad? It's what everyone listens to, because here's the, like, Kathy, I heard you say.
Ask his question.
I heard
let
you
me
say,
just get this question out.
I heard you say, I only listen to Christian music. There's not enough of it. I get bored with it sometimes, where it's like, okay, I'm just going to listen to Hillsong again. Okay, I'm going to go watch Facing the Giants again. Like,
Whoa, you listen to Hillsong?
oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh,
It's
man.
different. I could defend them, but I don't want to get
man.
canceled.
Oh my gosh.
Next, Elevation, let me guess.
Bethel.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Hey, I don't care about your judgment. I think it's,
Here we
well,
are.
whatever. I think it's fine to listen to any of them. But like, I just, can you actually just stay in this Christian bubble? And is that the best thing to do?
Is that even the goal? To just be in a Christian bubble?
I'm the guy who asked the questions to you guys.
I mean, because nobody thinks the goal is to stay in a Christian bubble. And why are we living in bubbles, by the way? I'm confused.
But so JP, can I listen to Drake's recent album? Like, is that okay?
I don't know the content on Drake's recent album. Here's what I know. So this is, as a matter of fact, if you will, we are much more programmable beings than anybody wants to think we are. So the way that God made us as humans, and the way, like, he gave us a brain, and the brain has a mind, and the mind informs the heart, and the heart takes us places. And so we truly, like, we are programmable. Like, we are told what to be attracted to. We're literally told what to find attractive. We our life has trajectory because of how we're educated, and our inputs, our desires, our passions. Like, we are fed so many of those things. Like, there are people who are listening right now. They want to be a doctor, and they don't realize it, but somebody taught them to want to be a doctor. Like we're told those things. And so Drake's new album is an education. Like, it is feeding your heart something to pursue. I'll tell you where I see this the clearest is I did young adult ministry for a really long time, or over a decade. And there was these patterns, in ministry that happened. And so young women would come up to the stage after the sermon, and they'd want to talk, and I would always hear this phrase, "Man, I'm only attracted to," and then fill in the blank, some expletive or dirtbag, or "I'm only attracted to bad guys. I'm only attracted to guys that do harmful things to me." And I would say, I learned to say, "What kind of music do you listen to?" And they were always thrown off by that. Like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "No, I don't think you understand. I'm talking about me. Like, in my own dating relationship, I'm only attracted to these kinds. It seems like I always find myself in these kinds of relationships." And I say, "Well, what kind of movies are you watching? What kind of shows are you watching? What kind of music do you listen to?" And we don't understand that is way more profound than you would think. That the things that you listen to take you places. And you're actually told that you're feeding that they would eventually answer, like, "Oh, like, my favorite song is, oh, have you heard that? I Love the Way You Lie." This is back in the day, by the way. Like, that Eminem jam, Rihanna, Monster, Miley Cyrus, and
I came in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah. And this is amazing. Let's just give that some space real quick before we move on to the next thing.
Do it again.
No, it's
Okay.
good.
Not
No,
that
I'm
much
good. I'm
space.
fine.
It's a party in the USA.
Yeah.
Now that's a great song.
And so I'm like, no, that's why you only date losers, to use your words. Like, that's why.
Because of the music they listen to.
It's like, man, I love I love this show, I love this movie, and all of a sudden, like, I find myself wanting the attention of 27 guys and really discontent that I don't have this body and I'm not able to go on dates in helicopters and fly to islands no one's ever been to. And I'm so discontent. My life is terrible. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's what you fed your heart. Proverbs 4 verse 23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. And if I pull that up in context, let me pull that verse up real quick. Give me one second.
Proverbs was written by Solomon.
Yeah, some of them were.
Some of them were. Some of them were not.
Oh.
And others were written by someone else.
Which ones were written by Solomon?
I think it's something
I'll be honest. I thought it was all written by Solomon.
No, like it's up
Am
till
I
like
today
it's like
years
up till
old
like
finding
Proverbs
this out?
26 or something.
Proverbs
like
31 was written by King Lemuel's mom.
Oh yeah.
What did I say? 423.
Yes.
So he says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life, or for everything you do flows from it. And then he says, keep your mouth free from perversity. Keep corrupt far from your lips. So the way that you guard your heart is be careful what you say. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. So the way that you guard your heart is be careful what you let your eyes look at. Give careful thought to the path for your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. So the way that you guard your heart is being cautious of where you go. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. And so the way that you guard your heart is being careful of who you're with. So this is what it means to guard your heart. Be careful what you feed it, because as you feed it things, and so whether it's movies or music, you want to be mindful of what you're feeding your heart. Now, I think we try to make this binary, and I was talking to Tyler the other day, and it's like, it had like, so we shouldn't see anything R-rated, right? Well, it's not that simple. I mean, The Passion of the Christ is R-rated, and this Easter with our family, with my 10-year-old, right, we're going to watch that movie, and it has horrifically violent scenes in it, horrifically violent, and it's rated R, restricted. So it's not that simple. You may have a song with explicit lyrics, sign, right? And so just because that song has a word in it that is a curse word doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that you shouldn't listen to at all. But what's the message of the song? Is the message of the song, get laid, get money, get yours, be selfish, be self-sufficient? That's a satanic message. Make no mistake about it. I'm going to sound like your grandma. I want to be abundantly clear. Satan took part in the manufacturing of that song so that he would lead you astray out of a right relationship with God. That was his strategy. And you have to be mindful of that strategy when you watch that movie. Well, the movie bad, because it's rated R? It depends. What's the content and the message of the movie? What is it teaching you? What are you learning from it? Because you know how when you walk out of a movie and you just like feel it's so powerful, you laughed and you cried and it was epic, and you're walking to your car and you have that feeling. That's because you were pulled into a story. And that story educated you. It shaped your heart and it shaped your mind and it told you what to love. And so you have to ask, did it make me love God more? Right now, I'm having this conversation. I'm in this war in my house. One of my kids wants to watch Stranger Things. And she's just like, why can't I watch it? Everybody's watching it. And I'm just asking you, listen, will it make you love God more?
Yeah.
Because why do you want to waste your time doing anything that's not going to make you love God more? Will it make you love God more? She's like, but everybody's talking about it. And so it's like, all right, do you want to watch it so that you can be a more effective evangelist? Because if you're watching it for that motive, that may be the right thing to do. If you're like, man, I'm watching this, doing reconnaissance work so that when I go into school, I can engage lost people for the cause of Jesus, right? Man, that's interesting. I'm listening now. That may be, you might be able to glorify God. But if you're like, hey, I'm watching it because I feel left out. Oh, man, you're going to feel left out. There's so much sin that the world wants to take part in that you're going to feel left out in. So you have to be mindful.
I think that's such a great question. Will this make me love God more?
Amen.
What if we literally evaluated every book we read, every show we watched, every song we listened to with that question?
And another one is, will it bring glory to God? Because that's what the scripture says. Whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, make sure that it glorifies the Father in heaven.
But what if it's like, I just want to work out and I want to listen to a hype song and it's going to get me hyped up, and the words aren't that great, but it's more like I'm just listening to music.
Yeah, you're not
It's
listening
like
to
the
the words.
It's like the dude that gets drunk. It's like, well, I just like the taste of alcohol, right? It's like the song version is, I just love the beat. But like in my day, so I mean, I wasn't a Christian, in college, and we would go to the club. Like I love the club. I moved 5 times, all within 1 mile of my favorite club. So I
Wow.
loved the dance. I loved bottle service. I loved running up the bar tab. I loved going home with a stranger. Like all of those things, man. Like that was a big part of my life. And so I would be like, man, I'm, around like In the Club was a song then. Like I love the beats. I love to dance. And then I became a Christian, and I was listening because you have, I wish I could replace all these lyrics with Bible, but I have all of these lyrics to songs in my head. And one of them, like I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, like my first, it like was so nostalgic. It brought back all, I was like, oh, this is the jam.
Yeah.
And then I was listening to the words, I was like, oh my goodness, he is talking about trafficking women and selling them to get raped for profit. Like that is what he's talking about. And when you put it like that, it is a big downer. But like the song 50 Cent, right? It's a song that you guys have jammed. You're like, dude, that's awesome. That's hype. I'm a PIMP. Oh, what's he saying there? When he says I'm a PIMP, oh, he's saying that he sells women. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And there was like a season where that was like something people aspired to be, or it like you would say that of yourself, and it was something,
It totally
Yeah,
was.
that
why
the world
was
thought
that?
was good.
I don't
That's
know.
so bad.
And now it's like, oh gosh, what all that happened there is we got educated. I mean, like Rob Thicke, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Blurred Lines.
Totally.
Remember that jam? I mean, that song was number 1
That's
for
so
so long. It was just like on rotation on the radio, and you listen to the lyrics. It's like, oh, he's talking about. He's like, yeah, I don't know if you really want to have sex with me, but I'm going to go ahead and push you that direction because you've had too much to drink. What in the world?
Even the song you mentioned, Love the Way You Lie,
Yeah.
it's about domestic violence.
Totally.
Like, it's so bad.
Look me in the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Do you hear sincerity in my voice when I talk? Fists against the drywall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were
Merciless
singing
But
it
that
and
stuff-
playing it
but-
like it
but
was
like-
nothing.
Sometimes Christian media just isn't that good. It like the movies and TV shows and music, and it's just like I just don't like it as much as I like the other stuff. It's just like it's
Because
better.
you've been feeding that appetite.
Both
and.
yeah,
That's
I think,
part of it, though.
I
But it's
think
like
some of it.
Stranger Things has a I don't know $40 million budget or something. and
Yeah,
something I'm
totally.
gonna find on
Fireproof has
fire
whatever. Yeah.
right. So it's like it just feels cheesy. So
Seasons
it's like,
of Grey.
if I'm only gonna do things that are
Shut
like Christian,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna watch or listen to anything. It feels like
Yeah. Here's let's just like quick. If we look back in history, I'd say quick history lesson. It sounds arrogant. As we look back in history, right, there was a time where the greatest art came out of the church.
yeah.
And so like out of the what the church was producing was these beautiful replicated pictures of God's creation, meaning like our best art is just a replica of his art, right? We paint sunsets, but
Right.
he paints sunsets at night somewhere on earth, everywhere, or every night, and they're always more beautiful than what we could create. Like there, we'll paint the woman body, but like God created the woman's body. He thought of it, and so out of the church came these beautiful paintings. And like you could go to the Frick Museum in New York, like right there across the street from Central Park. And as you go in, like what you're going to see is like paintings of the prodigal son and paintings of Jesus on the cross and paintings of Mary. And it's all of this, like so much of the greatest art at that time was biblical. Like it was straight from the scriptures because it was created in and around the church. The church would bring the artists in, and a part of what it looked like for them to use their gifts in the church was to create it, right? And then that would happen with literature too. Like greatest writings would
Right.
come out of the church. If it was today, it would be the greatest movies came out of the church. But we've become so secularized that the greatest art today is often coming from the coast, at least in America, from Hollywood and from New York City, and so like that, and maybe Atlanta. Like so, this is where this art is being produced. It's not happening in the church, and so what we're consuming is art from people with a secular worldview, or an atheistic worldview, or a naturalistic worldview. And so what that means for us is the people that have most informed how we should date. Like, here's a real practical application or what this looks like. The people who have most informed how we should date are the people who quite literally have the highest divorce rate. But they get to be the instructors, the teachers, if you will, of what it looks like. Like, man, I don't know Drake, and I don't even know if dude's married. But I've heard some of his lyrics, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if he continues in that mindset, it's not going to lead to a monogamous, healthy relationship where he esteems a woman and has these amazing kids, right? And so he's either going to have to sing something contradictory to how he lives, or he's going to have to change his mindset.
That's good.
What do you think it says about me in my heart if I enjoy listening to Drake, not to dog on him, but Drake more than I do Hillsong? Like,
and Drake's not even like top 10 worst, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes we get fixated on something. I think it says that your heart is thirsty for worldly things, not otherworldly things, not holy things. Your heart is thirsty for worldly things, not holy things. It's the same thing as like when I go, what does it say about me when I go to the store and I long to buy a bigger TV and, nicer shoes and whatnot, right? It just is like, hey, your heart is thirsty for worldly things. You fed it, you've taught it to crave the things of the world, not the things of God.
I was going to say, like, sometimes you have to train your heart.
Yeah.
You have to train your appetite, right? Like, when I'm not eating my best, I'm craving a ton of sugar, right? And I'm living on Sour Patch
You're making
Kids.
fun of me for Reese's
No,
Puffs.
I'm telling you.
Is this back to the food shaming?
No, I can give into
Hypothetically,
that.
hypothetically speaking, some people woke up this morning and had Reese's Puffs.
What I'm saying is
and
sugar
they
is addictive.
love the devil.
Okay. No, they don't.
That's what I know. I mean, it's
What
true.
I'm saying is, like, when I feed it, it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And so you have to train your appetite and say, no, I'm going to feed you salads. And after, I think it's like a 72-hour reset, you don't crave sugar the way that you do if I ate something sugary today, then tomorrow I'm going to crave it. If I go 3 days without it, I can, like, curb that craving. So I really think a lot of times we've just got to train our heart. Like, maybe you don't enjoy the Christian shows. Okay, what?
No, he just looks hot.
It's so very hot. I can't think right now.
So
hot. No.
Hey, can we have somebody come
We
fan
need
him?
some
so
fans
fast.
up in here.
He's like sweating over here.
I'm about to pass out.
Gosh.
But,
Well, you can talk. I'm so hot.
so
I don't know what's
it
going
just blows my mind what type of media gets normalized, even in the church.
Yes.
I mean, like, so many of my friends, when Game of Thrones was a big deal, like, just super normal, saying, "Oh man, like, I love Game of Thrones. Like, watched it last night, whatever."
There's so many shows like that where people will talk about it, so
And
I'll watch it.
But I know
and
it's
I'm
like, wait a second. Do you know what you're saying? It's become normalized to say, "Man, I watched porn last night."
So like at the porch, we did it when Game of Thrones was big. We did a series called Game of Thrones, and where we taught out of First and Second Kings.
Oh,
and,
wow, that's good.
And so, I was really conflicted over it for a number of reasons. So one is that's a way to be relevant, right? And I have a redemptive theology.
Right.
So I want to experience so much of what I experienced as a pagan in a righteous way.
Yeah.
Like now, like I've been to Vegas as a pagan, and I've been to Vegas as a follower of Jesus.
Totally.
And I can tell you it's way better as a follower of Jesus, if you can stomach the unrighteousness around you, if you will. But what I don't want to do is I don't want the church to rip off the best things of the world. Rather, I would like the church to be the foundation of that creativity.
Yeah.
And so I don't, like if you've seen like a bread, cum, and fish shirt, like Abercrombie and Fitch, or these shirts that instead of Reese's, it says Jesus, it's like,
right.
I'm not trying to rip off secular brands and make them churchy. I really would like the church to be the what am I trying to say? What is it? Original, but what's the thing like in the middle? The hub of all creativity. That the most creative things in the world would come from believers. That's why I love things like what Dallas Jenkins is doing with The Chosen. I love what my friend Shane and Shane are doing with Worship Initiative. I love it when the people are bringing really creative ideas into the church.
That's so good.
Speaking of creative ideas, I keep sending you book manuscripts, and you're like, yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
And like, I know you have connections and stuff, and I just, it feels like it's good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate you asking. And so, like, I just want to go back to what you were saying is like, hey, sometimes stuff that comes out of the church is not
It's
good.
not always good.
And
But
and
it was this. It's a romantic comedy. Did you get the comedy part?
Yeah, no.
Or was it not the romantic part?
Yeah, I don't. It was not romantic nor comical.
The
only thing that was comical was your grammar.
I'm going to just get us back on topic for 1 minute, because I've heard it said recently, I think this is such a good quote, I think it was Bob Goff, but he says, be careful who you give the microphone in your life to. And I think that is probably Nate. And then Bob stole it from you. Like,
Again.
Me and Bob.
like he does.
Again.
But I think that's so good. Like, we're unknowingly giving people important, influential places in our life that we are listening to without even thinking about it. We're listening to music, we're watching shows, we're reading books even that like are going to take us further from Christ, and we're not giving it a second thought. So my advice is just be careful who you're letting in to that inner space in your ears or in front of your eyes, because it really matters.
I pray over Weston every day. I just say, ask the Lord to help him to set no evil thing before his eyes.
So good.
That's great.
Help him to set no evil thing before his eyes. And so, yeah, man, I mean, at the end of your life, if you don't watch, if you have never seen nudity, if you've never seen a couple in the act of sex, if you've never heard a song that glorifies sex or the objectification of women or materialism, if at the end of the life you've never heard any of those things, you're going to be maybe you're so naive, right? And you're just going to be at a better spot. I mean, that's the truth. Is like, man, there's so much images and lyrics and things up here that do not make me a better follower of Jesus. They just don't. And as I've grown in, I guess, spiritual maturity, for lack of a better term, I have become way more discerning what I allow my eyes to feast on, because my heart is hungry.
Yep.
It's hungry. It is hungry for the things of this world.
But do you want to date that person? Do you want to be friends with that person? That person sounds lame. Like,
yeah. That person is going to die and go to heaven and have a bigger house than any of us,
It's like, it's
forever
okay to
and
be lame.
ever and ever and ever and ever. So
we need to raise more lame people.
Yeah,
like,
I mean-
I literally pray that my kids have a boring testimony. I pray that same prayer over my kids. And if we just all as Christians choose to be lame together and not to watch those things, but to talk about Bible verses together or something else, like, I don't know. Let's just all choose to be weird and lame and left out of culture together.
Well, sometimes, I mean, people who are lame on earth are not lame in heaven, is what I would say. And it depends. Like, I want our listeners to learn winsome engagement. Like,
Yes.
I want them to understand current events and how to engage in those conversations and have them in winsome ways and point people to biblical truths and sound theology. I'm just saying we might miss out on some of the top Hot 100s,
Yeah.
We might miss out on some big blockbusters. And sometimes I think following Jesus, it's not always about what you say yes to, but it's often about what you say no to. And so it's like, I want to add the right things to my life and remove the wrong things from my life. And I want to yield to the Holy Spirit. And so pray. He's a live God. I mean, he's alive and active. He's real. He's involved in our lives. And so sometimes we should just slow down and say, okay, Lord, would you have me watch this? Lord, would you have me listen to it? Are you okay? Like, is this honoring to you that I'm listening to this? And I think candidly, I think we're afraid to ask sometimes.
Because we don't want the answer.
We're like our kid that sneaks ice cream out of the
Totally.
freezer because they feel like if they asked mom and dad, we would have just said no.
I do this at night. I'll ask, like, if we have the kids down by 8 and it's like I have 2 hours till I'm going to bed. I've started praying this past year, like, God, how do you want me to spend my time tonight? And sometimes it is like watching a movie with Matt, but it's just being careful about what movie we watch. Or it's like, hey, maybe you'd have me go on a walk instead, or spend time with you, or have good conversation with someone else. So that's a great question to ask. But it really might limit the media you consume. And we're here to tell you that that's a good thing.
yeah. That's all I got. You've convinced me. I'll go listen to Hillsong.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, I hope that's helpful. If it is, forward it to your friends. And if it's not, don't. And we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. To find out more, visit becomingsomething.com.